just speak to us through these words this morning. Will you open our hearts here? What you want to say to each of us? And draw us closer to you. Amen. Thanks, Rosemary. A few weeks ago we celebrated Remembrance Sunday, didn't we? And we stood together and remembered the great sacrifices that so many had made for us and our country in the great wars. But at the end of those dreadful battles, there were those momentous days, and here are some scenes of them here, when peace was declared and the soldiers who had survived finally returned home. And it must have been an incredible moment, mustn't it? For these soldiers to be discharged and welcomed back into their families, to their husbands and wives, their girlfriends, their homes, their towns, knowing that war was over and that peace reigned again. And maybe there are one or two people here who even remember those days at the end of the Second World War and just know what it was like for those soldiers to come and return. And this is what's happening in today's reading with Israel. And finally the fighting is over. And the 2.5 tribes who had gone, that you can see on here, Manasseh, Gad and Reuben on the right-hand side, they actually stayed the other side of the Jordan, but they've gone to help the rest of Israel fight into Canaan. And finally, those 2.5 tribes are being sent back home and saying, well done, thank you for being part of battling with us. Thank you for your obedience. And they'll be discharged and sent home, having now completed the conquest and fighting loyally with the rest of the nation. These military men were heading back to join their families, to settle in their land, back on the other side of the Jordan. And in today's passage we see Joshua commissioning them and sending them off to settle down apart from the rest of the tribes. And we're going to look in detail at his commission to them this morning. But before we do, I wanted us to reflect on what we see here. Because we see that these 2.5 tribes have supported the rest of Israel. And they've fought with them for territory that they would themselves never reside in. Just like many of the allies did in the world wars that we have had. And it's a reminder to us, I think, too, that as a church, we're not simply to be involved in our own business. We're not called simply to fight our own battles, our own missions, on our own territory. But we're called to be team and support other churches and other Christians around the world in other places too. And we do that really well here, I think, don't we, through our mission partners, and it's been a really strong part of this church to support Christians in other countries. But also, I think, here in Malvern, in our Chase team, we're called to support the other churches in our team, to support All Saints, to support St Mary's over in Pickersley, and to go and be willing to go and serve God in those areas on their territory, as it were. We're blessed with great numbers here, and it's so encouraging to see numbers seem to be increasing every week here. But our sister churches, St Mary's and All Saints, aren't quite as strong in numbers as we are. And I want to just encourage us to see those places as places where we can serve too. The other territory on the other side of the Wells Road, the other side of the Garford Road. That's our territory too. And we're called to go and be part of that. And if there are people here who are just sensing that God may be calling them to just see what it is to be involved in what's going on over there, particularly in Pickersley, then do have a word with myself, do have a word with Lynn afterwards, do pray that God would show you what that might look like. We're called to join in with God's mission to fight on territories not our own, to bring in God's kingdom. And so back to the passage, we see in this passage that the 2.5 tribes return home. And here Joshua is really being quite clear about giving them a commission as they go home. Because I think as we read on in the rest of the chapter, there's a concern. There's a concern that actually these tribes going the other side of the Jordan described as borderline believers. That they actually, going the other side of the Jordan, away from all the rest of the tribes, would simply become half-hearted believers. That living the other side of the Jordan, they would lose their cutting edge, their distinctiveness as God's people. And they'd be seduced by the idols and the gods of their neighbours and become no different from those people around them. Is that danger for us? It's so easy, I think, isn't it, living in our Western culture as Christians, to lose our distinctiveness, to allow our beliefs to be diluted by the secular culture around us, to allow the way we spend our time, our money, the way we order our priorities to become no different to anyone else around us. And sometimes even, dare I say it, for our church to become sometimes just another club or society that we're part of. I once heard someone pose an interesting question. They said, if an alien, isn't that friendly? If an alien came and visited us from space and saw us outside of Sundays in our day-to-day lives, in our families, in our neighbours, in our workplaces, in our recreation, would they notice anything different about us because we're Christians compared with others who are around us? Would they notice any difference in the way we live our lives? It's a challenging question, isn't it? I find it challenging myself. And that's what Joshua, I think, was concerned about here, is he sent the other 2.5 tribes back home. He was concerned that their faith would become diluted, that their lives, instead of pointing others to God and standing out as different, would become mixed in and no different to those around him. So what does Joshua do? Well, he reminds them of the very commands that Israel was given in the first place. And I want to particularly focus on this verse 5 today. You might like to grab your Bible so you see it. And in verse 5, Joshua says, "Be careful to keep the commandments and the law that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave to you. To love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to obey his commands, to hold fast to him, and to serve him with all of your heart and all of your soul." Amazing words. And I want to take each of those sort of 4 things in turn very briefly now. And it starts with that command to love the Lord your God. You see, loving God is the starting point, isn't it? It's the foundation for everything. That's when Jesus was, if you like, compressing the 10 commandments down into 2. He started by saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and then love your neighbour as yourself. But it starts with loving God. And love in this particular time, these Near Eastern times, was not just love in the sense that we know it now, but it was also a bit of a political term. A term which indicated true-hearted loyalty to one's king. And so that's the sense here, that this is what the first commandment is about, staying loyal to the one true God and not seeking after other idols. I wonder how much of a danger that is for us too, to stop loving God and to stop being loyal to God and to love our idols instead. I wonder what our individual idols are. Maybe actually, if we're honest, it's wealth and possessions, it's our homes, it's our careers, it's our families, our hobbies. Maybe we're making these number one and allowing them to draw us away from our loyalty to God. What about us as a church? Do we have idols as a church even? Maybe even church itself can become at times our idol. We can actually love the church more than God. We can love our programs. We can love our tight-knit family as a church, and perhaps even sometimes lose sight of the mission that He's given us. We can love our traditions, and we can allow them to come first before our love of God. I was struck a few months ago when we were looking at the book of Ephesians, and then we went on to the letter to the Ephesians. And Revelation 2, and it says these words, words which I find so powerful. Writing to the Ephesians, angel to the church says, I know your deeds, your hard work and your perseverance. I know you persevered. And yet I have endured hardships for my name, and am not grown weary. Yet I hold this against you, that you've forsaken your first love. So you think it reminds us, doesn't it, that sometimes we can work hard to do the stuff and to serve and do all the jobs and stuff for God, but still sometimes we can totally miss the point. We can do these things at the expense, sometimes, of loving God. So how do we keep our love for God? Well, that's a whole sermon in itself, or about 10 sermons probably, I'm not going to 10, so cover all of that now. But actually, just one thought. How do we love someone? What does it look like when we love someone? Well, I think more than anything, it's about seeking to spend time with them, isn't it? Alice and I, normally about this time of the year, but we did it a bit earlier this year, try and always have a weekend away, or at least a night away, from the children, from our home, where we can just simply have time to reconnect with each other in the busyness of life. And it's a time to just rekindle our love for each other. And isn't that what we need to do with God on a regular basis, to be taking time out, to simply spending time being with Him. Through the Bible, reading our Bibles, praying, worshiping. And as we do, I think not only will we be able to express our love to God, but we also find ourselves experiencing that love that God has for us. Love the Lord your God. That's the starting point of everything. What can we do to love the Lord our God more? And then secondly, it goes on, walk in all His ways and keep His commandments. What does it say? Walk in all His ways. Not just some of them, not just the ones which we feel like walking in, but we seek to walk in all His ways and obey all His commandments. That was the command for Israel. That's the command for us. And how do we walk in His ways? Well, I think we seek to be people of the book, people of God's book. God's instructions, God's commandments are in here to show us how we're called to live. This is how we seek to live as Jesus lived. This is how we, with the Holy Spirit at work in us, can be more transformed into His likeness. It's often said, I think, that we become like who we hang out with. Do you ever find that? That actually sometimes you can hang out with other people and suddenly you find yourself becoming like them. In the way you dress, in the way you act, in the way you talk. And I think that's the same with God, isn't it? If we want to become more like God, then we need to hang out with God. We need to read God's word, to dwell in the stories of Jesus. And the more we do, we will become to talk and speak and act like Jesus is. I think Advent is a great time, isn't it? To just stop as we prepare for Christmas and just think about reconnecting in the busyness of it all. And maybe it's a time again for us all to just say, I'm going to commit over this Advent time to take some time out, 10, 15 minutes each day, to pick up my Bible again, to read it, to spend time in prayer with God, to be inviting God into my day and asking the Holy Spirit to be with me as I do the things that I need to do each day, each week, and to simply be with God and to receive His love and to love Him back. Maybe at the start of Advent, that's something today that you want to make that commitment to do, to get back into those patterns of spending regular time with God. If you want to know how to do it, then talk to me and I've got some suggestions that I can easily give you to send you to help you. So walk in all His ways, keep His commandments. Then this one might be a picture that some of us might feel that we can relate to. Hold fast to Him. I wonder whether people here, how many of us feel a bit like that at the moment. I know there are people here who are grappling with big things of uncertainty as to whether house moves are going to work out, uncertainty of ill health, just the difficulties of marriage, of hanging in there. Of hanging in there when family stuff is really difficult. Of maybe being in a job which actually you know that God's called you to, but actually it's really tough and that you're not sure whether you can keep in there, whether you can keep doing it. Maybe there's a ministry area in church that you're involved with that actually you're tired, you're exhausted, and actually you seem to be hanging in there. Maybe it's about your finances, but again, you're worried that there's finance stuff there too. Well, what's the message here? Hold fast to Him. Last week at All Saints, we had our service, our all-age service, where Wells Primary School came and helped us out. And they came and acted out that story of Peter walking on the water. And the wind blowing, and Peter steps out and he walks on the water, and then the wind suddenly blows and the waves get up, and Peter stops looking at Jesus, and he looks around him, to the wind and the waves, to the problems around, and he starts sinking. And then Jesus reaches out his hand and pulls him up again. And maybe some of us are in that place where actually we know we've been buffeted by stuff around us. And actually it's very easy, isn't it, for our gaze to look at the wind and the waves and the problems around us. Well, actually we're called to fix our eyes on Jesus. We're called to hold fast to Him. To hold fast to those truths of who Jesus is, that He's with us, that God's with us, those promises. 1 Thessalonians 5:24 says, the one who calls you is faithful, and He will do it. I really sense that there may be people here who are struggling to hold on to that, struggling to hold fast to God. And God wants to say, stop looking at the problems around you and look again at me and hold fast to me. Hold on, and I will do it. And part of that is supporting each other, isn't it? It's supporting each other in those times, is walking with each other, maybe finding someone to pray with me, maybe asking someone, I'm struggling, can you pray regularly for me? Asking someone to just keep encouraging you, to keep going, to hold fast, to point you to God. Hold fast to Him. And then finally, serve Him with all your heart and all your soul. I wonder what this means. I think some of us actually think it means this. And I don't think it does. I think sometimes the danger is to say to serve God we must be burning the candle at both ends and just flat out and never rest in. And I think that's something I need to keep reminding myself of too. But actually if we look to Jesus, then Jesus didn't do that. Jesus didn't get burned out. Jesus didn't try and do everything. There's a lovely verse in John 17:44 where Jesus says to his Father, I brought you glory on earth by completing the work that you gave me to do. Jesus didn't try and solve every need, but he did what he'd been called to do. And we're called to do the same. I always think of this as a bit like a picture of a sheepdog. You know when a sheepdog is sort of rounding up the sheep and you watch like that. What was that program? One man. And what you do is you see that sheepdog lying down on the floor, but eagerly looking and listening out for those instructions. And then when that whistle comes, or that come by, or whatever it is, then actually the sheepdog moves into action and rounds up the sheep. And I think that's that same sense. That's how we're called to be with God. Is we're called to be eagerly waiting and open for His instructions, open for His prompting, open for His leading. But when He calls us, when He nudges us, that actually we go and we do what He's called to do. Not to be flat out, not to be not resting, not to be just so busy that we're not encountering His love and expressing His love to our love to Him. But also as I pondered this phrase, I think God also showed me something else about what serving God with all your heart and all your soul means. I love to just head up onto the hills, and it's a great thing for a vicar to be able to get up onto the hill and to see his whole parish. On two parishes in one view. And I love going up there, and I don't get up there enough, but praying for what's going on. And when I was up there a few weeks ago, I just was reminded of a verse in Luke where it talks about as Jesus approached Jerusalem, he saw the city and he wept for it. And as I was dwelling on that, I sensed God saying, that's what it means to truly serve with all your heart and with all your soul. It's when you begin to weep and have compassion for those who don't yet know Jesus like others. It's when we begin to have a heart and compassion for the broken and the poor and the oppressed as God does. It's when our actions begin to flow from a heart which is fully tuned in to God's heart. I think that's something of what it means to serve Him with all our heart and all our soul. I'm reminded of that song that we sing, Hosanna, which says, and we're going to sing it in a minute, break my heart for what breaks yours. Everything I am for your kingdom's good. I think that's a word for maybe all of us here today, that we need to pray that God will break our hearts for the things that break His. That He'll give us His compassion for the people around us, for our community, so that we can fully serve Him with all our heart and all our soul, which is tuned into His heart. So just as Joshua commanded these eastern tribes as they returned home, so we, I think, are called to do the same. Wherever we're sent, wherever God puts us, we're called not to be borderline believers who simply merge in with those around us. There's simply no difference in the way everybody else lives their lives, but we're called to wholeheartedly be distinctive and to follow Him. This morning, will you recommit to spending time just being with God, to loving the Lord your God with all your heart? Will you commit to reading Scripture, to just engaging with God in prayer and worship, so that actually we can seek His ways and seek to obey all of His commandments? Will we, in those tough times, commit to looking at Him, not the problems around us, and holding fast to His truths even when it's tough? And will we open our hearts to serve Him with all our hearts and all our souls, not flat out so we're busy, but so we're eager and open to step into all that He commands us to do. I'm going to invite the music group to come up and to play and to lead us into that song which I was talking to us about. And just want to invite you all to just stand and to just for a moment be still.